When I was younger I was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z. I had read the manga, watched every episode of the anime, and I had a lot of Dragon Ball Z merchandise. I had the action figures, business cards, and I had even played video games as the Legacy of Goku games on GBA and Dokai Tenkaichi on PS2. Once, I decided to rewatch the entire Dragon Ball Z again, so I took the old VHS tapes that the episodes were on and started watching them. When I was watching the Buu saga, I came across an episode that made no sense. This was supposed to be after the episode in which Majin Vegeta is sacrificed to kill Buu, but it didn't have the same opening in that saga he had the opening in Cell's saga. The episode started with Goku playing some card game with Lord Kaio in the other world. Goku and Kaio both had an Orla, and this episode must be after Goku was killed by Cell. Suddenly, Vegeta appeared out of nowhere. He teleported to the other world. I don't know how, but he did. This doesn't make sense, and Vegeta wasn't even dead. Life doesn't normally teleport to another world, and if Vegeta was dead, shouldn't he be in hell? Then I noticed something strange about Vegeta. Vegeta had no eyes. His eyes were like a clear white void of nothing. In addition, there were bloody tears coming from Vegeta's eyes, and his skin was a light gray as if it were a zombie. This shiver sent down my spine. I had never seen an episode like this. But I just had to keep watching. I just had to do it. You ruined me, Kakaroto, Vegeta said. You ruined me. Goku ruined Vegeta? Like this? Out of curiosity, I continued to watch. Then she cut off the scene and she showed Gohan doing his homework. Then Vegeta teleported to his room. He destroyed me, Vegeta said. Now I'm going to kill everyone he loves. Gohan turned and saw Vegeta. Vegeta? What happened to you? Before Gohan could even speak to him, Vegeta punched Gohan in the chest. His fist went through Gohan's flesh and broke his ribs. Then, Vegeta plucked a bloody heart from Gohan's chest. Gohan died in an instant and he fell to the floor of his room, lifeless and dead. I was horrified and disgusted at what had happened. Why did killing Vegeta kill Gohan like that? I thought Vegeta cared about Gohan. He practically saved him in the fight against Cell. I had never seen anything so horrible in Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z was violent, yes, but there was never anything so horrible in Dragon Ball Z. Never. Vegeta was holding Gohan's bloody heart in his hand. He ate the heart like a cannibal and got blood all over his face. Then he licked the blood out of his mouth. I felt so sick, I wanted to throw up. What kind of sick writer would make an episode go to air one like this? As soon as this episode started, I knew it was just a missed episode that never aired, and only now that I had seen why it had never been aired. I kept watching, but I regretted it. I wanted to know why someone would do an episode like this. Then Vegeta leaned over Gohan's dead body and pulled on his hair, tore off his head and beheaded. Blood spurted out of the trunk where Gohan's head used to be. Then Vegeta devoured Gohan's head completely in a few seconds, leaving only the bloody skull. Annoyed by this, I quickly skipped this part. Vegeta was crouched over Gohan's bloody skeleton. He had eaten the meat out of his entire body. I was so disgusted I stopped the VHS so I could throw up in a bucket. After everything I had seen, I, for some reason, still wanted to watch, so I moved on. So Vegeta killed Kai and ate the meat out of his entire body, leaving only a bloody skeleton. Kai was pregnant with Goten at this point, and Goten was still growing in his womb. Vegeta killed and ate Goten when he was just a fetus, and he devoured Kai's uterus. I covered my eyes for this part and I was crying. I had never seen anything so disturbing in my life. Then Vegeta teleported to the lookout. Piccolo, Denda and Mr. Popo were looking and were startled by something, as if they knew what had happened. Piccolo looked at Vegeta and clenched his fists. He shouted angrily. So, he charged Vegeta and tried to kill him. He couldn't believe what he had done for Gohan and Kai and even Goten. Vegeta grabbed Piccolo by the neck and pulled his head off. Blood gushed purple off the stump where Piccolo's head used to be. I was sad and started to cry. because Piccolo was my favorite character and it broke my heart to see him dead in a horrible way. Mr. Popo and Dent had watched in horror as Vegeta killed Piccolo, so they panicked and tried to escape. But then, Vegeta caught Dent and Mr. Popo by the necks and tore as much of their heads off as they had done to Piccolo. Both screamed in agony and fear when their heads were ripped off. Vegetation to see what he did is to kill himself with the red key energy that sends blood all over his chest. Is Vegetation falls to the ground and flashback shows Goku raping Bulma. I started to sob uncontrollably. I couldn't see him anymore. It was very horrible to see. Crying, I told my dad about everything and he believed me. Mine took the VHS tape and destroyed it. After that, I never saw Dragon Ball Z ever again. I'm not a fan anymore. I sold all the goods to get rid of the memories. I don't want to remember any.